My name is Janet Ahrberg, and today is October the 15th, 2009, and I'm visiting with Georgia Laman, okay, in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And this interview is for the O State Story Project of the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. And welcome, Georgia.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you back on campus for the Women of Willard reunion, what we call WOW. We're going to start off, and I'm going to have you tell me about your early life, where you grew up, your family, your school, and talk about your siblings, your family.
Okay, I grew up on a farm in northern Oklahoma near the small town of Deer Creek, and went to a country one-room school for 7 years. And then I went to Deer Creek, graduated from high school, and then I came to OSU. I had one sister. She came but did not finish.
Were you one of the first people in your family to go to college? Did your parents attend college?
No, my mother was really, really anxious for me to go because she did not even finish high school. So my parents were very interested in my getting an education.
What did your parents do for a living, may I ask?
Yeah, my dad farmed and my mother helped.
Okay, all right. What influenced you to attend OSU?
The main thing, because I was already enrolled at Northern Oklahoma Junior College, which was very small. And then they had, I don't know what they called it, Senior Day or something down here, and you could come visit. And when I did that, I just thought I just had to come down here because I didn't want to go to a small school where everybody went home every weekend. So I just really wanted to come here.
What year did you enroll in then?
I was freshman 1955.
Okay. When you arrived on campus, what were your first impressions of the campus itself and of the town of Stillwater?
Well, it all looked pretty big to me because I had lived out on a farm, just a small town. But I had been down here for like 4-H Roundup and stuff like that.
So you were active in 4-H when you were in...
Oh, for a few years, and then I wasn't. But since we lived on a farm, we'd come down, it seemed like we brought our sick chickens or something once down here. So I was familiar with OSU.
What years did you live in Willard Hall?
All 4 years.
Okay. Were you assigned to Willard Hall, or did you specifically request Willard?
I think at that time we could request where we wanted to stay. And my sister was 2 years older, and she had gone and she stayed in Willard. And I think there was just something about Willard that...
Because there was, what were the other, there was Stout and Murray?
There was Stout, and Stout was considered the kind of sorority, and then Murray, I don't know, it seems like a lot of people just ended up in
Did you have a roommate, or did they assign one for you?
They assigned one, but they sent out a little paper asking all about your background, and then they assigned me a roommate who kind of was like me. She was raised on a farm and stuff.
Okay. What was your first impressions of Willard Hall when you first walked into the dorm?
Oh, probably I just thought how big it was. You know, but it just, I don't recall really ever being frightened or anything like that. It was just big, someplace I'd never been, and they had an elevator, you know, one of these old ones where those old things where they scooted all those little things back, and yeah, I just liked it.
What floor were you on?
2.
2.
Okay.
What was your room like?
It was just pretty plain, not too big. It did have a sink in it and a small closet and a desk and a bed, and that was it. And pipes running overhead where you would hang all of your out-of-season clothes or your big skirts or stuff like that.
That's a good question. Did you bring all your clothes up, all 4 seasons up to, or did you have to like just bring up so many and then bring the rest later?
Well, actually, because school did not start till the middle of September then, so I probably brought what I would wear up until Christmas or something like that, because really I didn't have that many clothes, and my mother would sew, so it was like, if you needed something, you kind of had to see what you would need and stuff like that.
What was it like trying to have a personal conversation on the floor phone?
Oh, it was not a very personal conversation with people running back and forth, and making faces and signs, and that they could tell who it was, and they'd want to come listen in.
Was the phone a pretty hot place? I mean, was it ringing all the time?
Quite a bit. It depends on if there was some big event going on, it would ring a lot. And there was one in the hall, but then on the middle wing they had little tiny rooms with a phone in them.
Were they pay phones?
No, just kind of a little enclosure there where they had a little phone in it.
And so did you use the phones to communicate with your folks, or did you write them mostly?
Wrote them mostly, because that would be long distance, and we really did not call back and forth that often.
Yeah. So you didn't go home probably very much either, did you?
Well, no. There was 2 or 3 people that went up there, and sometimes I would get a ride home. And I do remember this one boy had no heat in his car. And I particularly remember catching a ride, but that's what we did. We'd just find somebody. But no, I didn't go home all that often.
Okay. Tell us kind of a bit about the restroom area. Was there a common shower on your floor? And about how many women shared that facility?
Oh, well, that was quite an interesting affair, because, yes, I don't know the exact number, but there were probably 4 showers, maybe 6 stools, 1 bathtub, which most people did not care to use the bathtub. And my most, I guess, thing I remember most, because Willard was getting old, and you can look up at the ceiling and see the wire that held the cement mesh, whatever you called the top of the shower, and
it was starting to
and it was starting to crumble and stuff like that. But, yeah, and you'd stand in line and you'd say, "Well, holler when you're out. I'm next for the shower."
Okay. So I didn't realize that. I guess Willard was old, or it was an older building on campus when we were in it at that time.
Yeah, it was.
How was the heat with no air conditioning? Was it hot and cold in the rooms?
We would have fans, but because I did not have air conditioning where I lived, it wasn't that noticeable. But you'd open your windows, and then when like in the winter, when they'd finally turn the heat on, all the pipes would clank, clank, clank.
Was Willard, at the time that you were there, considered to be a popular or prestigious hall at the time?
We thought so.
And why would you say that?
Well, because it was kind of then right at the center of the campus, and it was by Theta Pond, and a lot went on at Theta Pond, and it was right across the street, kind of from Morrill, I think, whatever the business one was, and it was just in a real central location.
It's the place to be, huh?
Well, I think so, yeah. We were quite proud we lived there.
In your mind, what set Willard apart from other women halls in the late 1950s?
Well, we just thought it was a little higher class, to be real honest about it.
Okay. Was the term "wow" popularly used in the late 1950s?
No, I'd never heard us referred to until somebody started calling us that 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Well, that's what everybody else has said, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'd like to discuss some of the WOW traditions with you. Do you recall anything about the Willard Beach and where it took place?
Unless you're talking about when we would crawl out somebody's window, because we lived on the second floor and their room was over kind of the porch. And it was, I must have been tar or something. So yes, we would crawl out their windows and we would suntan out.
That was on the south side though, right? Or was it on the north side?
Well, when I was a freshman, I lived in the main, so that went east and west.
Okay.
Yeah. So that
Okay.
would have been, yes, I brought pictures of us sitting out there.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Oh, yeah, I have them.
What were some of did you all have Christmas traditions? Did you decorate a tree or
always.
sing Christmas carols?
Yeah.
And did everybody just come downstairs at once, and was it by floors or?
No, I don't remember that so much, because what I thought you were talking about was the parties we had in our room all the time.
Well, tell us about those. Were these
Well-
Christmas parties or?
Oh, we had parties for any occasion you can imagine. And mainly it started, I think, I was in the middle, and then when I was a sophomore, then I moved to the west wing. And then we really did have a lot of parties, just Halloween parties, just popcorn parties, or somebody would feel like they were neglected, so they would have a party for them. We just had parties for everything.
Were they mainly during the week, or did you have them on the weekend?
No, we would have them during the week, because that's something else I brought, were some of our parties, and there must have been a note in there. Yeah, I had an invitation, and the party started at 10:30, which, you're supposed to study from 8 to 10. That was quiet hours. So then you'd have your party after that.
And so, okay, so you cooked popcorn and drank soda pop, and that's what you did? Okay. And then everyone would just hear about the parties and everybody come down to the room, right?
Yeah,
like
sometimes you would get an invitation. Sometimes it would be a surprise party for somebody and things like that.
How many girls could you get in a room, you think?
Quite a number, because that's another picture I brought. A lot.
A lot.
Really,
That's
a
cool.
lot. I would guess there could have been 20 in there.
Really? Did Willard participate in homecoming events or contests?
I can't say that we did so much, but that might be an area. I just don't remember that well. But most of the contests I remember revolved around sports, intramurals.
So you all had pretty good teams going?
Well, we thought we had pretty good teams, but I think it was the fourth floor were PE majors. So it was always a running contest.
Okay.
And with the PE majors on whatever floor they were on. Yeah, I remember some of those. It was really a lot of fun.
So did you play other dorms? Is that how it worked?
Well, they might have had a championship occasionally, but we would do some of that.
Did they make T-shirts like they do a lot, for events now? No?
I doubt if any of us could afford a special T-shirt.
So they just maybe put on a T or something, or a number, a colored number? Not even that. You just knew.
But somebody, I guess, would, somebody may tell you we had shirts and I don't remember, but no, we just got out there and played volleyball or basketball.
And did you participate?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Which sport? Did you do all the sports? Or?
Well, no, I did basketball and volleyball and softball some. And
That's all.
yeah.
What happened when a WOW member became engaged?
Oh, we'd have big showers for them.
You would.
And those we could even have down in one of the rooms in Willard. I don't know if they still do, but they had little parlors, and you could go down there and have showers.
Bring the gifts and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you remember anything about the dorm scrapbooks?
No, just my own.
Well, that's what everyone says. So this
Yeah.
this may be a question for an older group or a younger group. I don't know. But that was one of the questions. And do you remember, or what did you hear about the 1955 panty raid on Willard? What did you hear about it? Did it leave an impression on you?
Just that there had one, it didn't amount to very much. Wasn't as exciting as people made it out to be. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you know what caused it? Was there an event on campus?
Yeah, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
But I think it was the only one we ever had that I know about.
What were the resident hall hours when you were on campus?
Well, quiet hour was 8 to 10, and I think we had to be in by 10:30 at least, and then they would come around and have room check.
Okay. Did they knock on your door?
Yeah.
Did they came in?
Yeah, they came in physically to check and see if you were there.
Were you all issued a key?
Mm-hmm.
You were?
We had a key.
In your own rooms, you had keys too. You could lock your room when you left. Did they lock rooms back then?
Yeah, but we didn't have a key to the dorm.
To the dorm?
Yeah, if you were late, you had to ring a
Okay.
bell, and then the house mother would come out and greet you.
Which leads me to some of my other questions. Do you remember much about your dorm mom?
She was I think her name was Mrs. White. She was a nice lady.
And you had one during the day and one in the evening?
I can't remember that, but we had up on every floor, we had proctors or something, and they had a room, and they were supposed to kind of mentor us and
Okay.
do things like that.
Was there a dress code at Willard?
I think there was. It seemed like we had to wear skirts and look halfway decent. We'd go to meals and stuff like that.
Were there any penalties for coming in late past curfew?
Well,
And did you ever come in past curfew?
I guess I was just too chicken not to be there on the right time. But yeah, they would certainly talk to you about it. It was, I think, I was just such a little chicken. I would have been scared to death for them to talk to me.
This question is, what public display of affection, or was PDA a serious infraction at your dorm?
Well, it was frowned on. There was a couple that everybody knew, and they didn't have a car, so they couldn't go out and park. So they did all theirs, right in the hallway, and we'd come in. Yeah.
But they never got in trouble? No one ever?
Well, I guess they really didn't do that much.
And they weren't actually in the dorm itself?
Well,
They
yeah,
were-
because you'd walk up the stairs and there was this, and they would stand, there
Right
a
there.
lot of people would be standing right there, and then when the 10 o'clock or 10:30 thing went, then you'd rush in the door.
Okay. What were some of the special hall events and activities that you remember? Dances, you talked about some showers.
Yeah, they had, what was it called? Monday night dance or something, dance hall, Willard Dance Hall, and you'd go down there and dance with whoever came from some other.
Was it open to everybody?
Yeah, I think pretty much.
So, it wasn't for a particular men's dorm or anything like that?
No, as far as I know, it's just whoever wanted to come.
And did you have a live band?
No.
You played records?
Probably records, yeah. It was just called Dance Hour, and you'd go down there. And
Okay. Was it, I assumed it was chaperoned.
I'm sure it was. Everything was chaperoned.
Okay. So some of the things that you've brought forth of some of these things, are there any very special memories that is something that really an event or an individual that particularly stands out while you were there at Willard?
At Willard.
You talked about the parties, but was there a particular party in general that may have left an impression on
No,
you?
but now what left one of the bigger impressions was because they had a television downstairs. And that was when Elvis was on the Ed Sullivan Hour. So I remember going home one weekend, and we didn't have a TV, so I had to find somebody that was going to get back in time so I could see Elvis Presley on the Ed Sullivan show. And that's when they only showed him from the waist up.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. Oh,
Yeah,
my
so
gosh.
that kind of made a big impression on me.
That's cute. So did you enjoy Elvis Presley music? Rock and roll was just starting to come in.
Oh yes, I still like it.
Okay. So that was the music you all listened to when you danced.
Yes, and you know, some of us had record players, and you'd turn it up as loud as you can. And I tended to like to play the same song over and over again. And I think my roommate would sometimes tell me to turn it off.
Was there a particular Elvis song that you really liked, that you remember, that really stood out? Jailhouse Rock? Or?
No, I remember Love Me Tender, just it wasn't really rock and roll, but, and Blue Suede Shoes and some of those. But that was also when Johnny Cash was just getting popular.
Popular then.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting when you talk about the music. You know, there was such a Western influence on our campus. Did the women in Willard, did they mix with the cowboys? Was there a lot of women that dated the?
Well, yeah, because they'd have Western Week, and because a lot of us came from the country. A lot of the boys would be from, you know, and they'd do them from 4-H or something like that. So yeah, it was. We'd have Western Week, and you'd really wear jeans
then.
Yeah.
Were you familiar? Did they have the rodeo club back then?
I think they did. Yeah.
Those were some, you mentioned some special memories. Were there any tough times for you while you were at Willard? Was there something that you recall that was negative, or
about Willard?
About Willard, or an experience that you had that was kind of a bitter memory for you at all?
No, I can't say that I really had any bitter memories. Just an art teacher that drove me nuts because she was kind of a funny old lady, and we were out there in those Quonset huts, which you don't know a thing about, and she was so picky about everything you did. And I just remember coming back to lunch sometimes almost in tears because I couldn't do something that quite pleased her. But no, I didn't have any bitter memories.
So she's a professor that stood out, that you recall?
Stood out as I couldn't.
What was your major?
Elementary education.
Elementary
so we did a lot of other stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Was there a professor that you really liked?
Mm-hmm. Valerie Collins. She taught PE.
Yes.
And she got, she would get summer jobs for girls. Would go down to Girl Scout camp down in Conroe, Texas. I shouldn't do that.
That's okay. Okay, so you had classes, or she taught you classes. Valerie
Yeah, she taught PE classes, and if you were an elementary education major, you had more of an opportunity to take more classes like that.
Do you recall any kind of diversity in Willard? Was there any ethnic or international students that lived in the dorm?
I know we had one black girl, and she was just the nicest person. In fact, that was the first time I'd ever had anything to do with black people. There really wasn't too much.
But everybody was very accepting of her?
Oh yeah, they were.
Everybody had dinner, would sit at the table with her.
Oh yeah, I can't recall anybody ever thinking that she wasn't just like we were.
That's good. Okay. Were you active in the Willard or OSU Women's Residential Hall Associations? Did you hold a hall or floor position?
Oh, I think I was sports chairman once.
Did you work in the hall?
I did. We'd sit downstairs and kind of take telephone calls and stuff like that, and put up the mail, and then I ran the elevator.
How much did they pay you?
Very little. I don't even remember how much it was.
Do you remember how many hours you worked?
Yeah, it seemed like maybe 10 or 15 a week. I don't remember exactly.
Was that hard for you to do that and go to class?
Not really.
Okay. Okay, so the WOW women, can you tell us why the WOW women have stayed so close through the years and continue to have reunions even 50 years later?
Well, I think and I always consider myself very lucky because I moved into a dorm, and right across were these girls from little bitty towns, lived on farms, and a lot of us went to the Wesley Foundation. And none of us really had boyfriends or anything. And so we just kind of started going to the Wesley Foundation and including anybody around there. And yeah, I think that was what a lot of it was. We just were all from the same background, and I'd go home with them and they'd go home with me. And I just was very lucky that it just worked out that way.
Do you think this particular bond that you have is unique to Willard? Have you heard of anything of Stout or Murray having this particular?
No, I don't think so, because people I've talked to, they just say, "Oh, that is so great. You just stayed together all these years." I guess we just liked each other so well.
I think it was those parties, those popcorn parties.
Well, we know too much about each other.
How many reunions have you participated in, and where?
I think the first one was Quartz Mountain, and then there was one at Western Hills Lodge, and then they had a few I did not attend for one reason or the other, but I think I've been to 4 or 5 of them, and then the one in Oklahoma City that was just about 3 years ago.
When Willard was converted to administrative use, was that controversial with some of the women of WOW?
I don't think so. I think we hated to think it wouldn't be a dorm, but it really did need fixing up, and you know.
Did the WOW group participate in the renovation plans of Willard, and did they lobby for maintaining the original living room spaces on the first floor?
I don't know that they lobbied, but if we could have, I'm sure we probably said something.
Have you had a chance to see the new residence halls at OSU, and if you have, do you have an opinion about them?
Yes, because we've had our grandkids up here twice for grandparents' university, and I just thought, oh my goodness, the luxury, you know. They have no idea, but I think you miss some of the close connection, you know, because
of the way they're arranged.
Yeah, and they're nice, and you know, it's just, well, it's 50 years later, but yeah, they're nice. They really are.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some transition questions here about your general OSU experience. What year did you graduate in?
1959.
During that time, OSU, that you were on campus, OSU changed its name from Oklahoma A&M and joined the Big 8 Conference and became Cowboys. Do you recall how the students generally reacted to that?
I don't think there was, as far as I know, there wasn't too much dissension. I always thought it was kind of neat. I went to A&M 2 years and OSU 2.
Okay, and you said some of the classes that you especially remembered was an art class, and you mentioned 2 professors, and you liked, I guess you liked the PE classes.
Yeah, I like that, but I did have an art class that I really, really liked. It was for elementary education majors, and I cannot think what the lady's name was, but I remember I made a big macrame duck, and I remember my future husband said, "What in the world did you make that for?" I don't have any idea, but we had to do a project. And
were most of the professors you had women or men?
I'd guess it was 50-50, and because I had the Marsdens, and they were man and wife, but they were both in education.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the library. The library was a fairly new building on campus, and along with the student union. Can you tell us a little bit about those buildings and what you, in terms of visiting them, did you go to the library often?
Well, yes, we would go, because generally what would happen, you'd go and study a little bit, and then lots of times you'd go over to the union then and have a snack afterwards and dance or something like that.
So when you wanted to study for an exam or anything, did you go to the library, or did you stay in your dorm room, or go to the union?
No, I never studied in the union. I studied in my dorm room, but we had a lot of papers to write and readings. You have to look up these readings and stuff. So that was done in the...
Did they have any kind of resources for you to use there at Willard for your schoolwork?
No.
So you had to go to the library or buy them with your books or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
I was going to lead up to that. What was some of the popular student hangouts that you went to on campus or off campus?
Well, the Union was one of the most popular, and then they opened a Hideaway, and it was brand new, and I had never had pizza until I came to school down here. And so I do remember when they started the Hideaway, and then we would go to the drugstore on campus corner.
Swims?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Now, did you go to there was a place called the Y Hut? Was that there when you were there? Was it a coffee shop on campus, the Y Hut?
if it was, it didn't.
I don't know if I've got the name right, the Y Hut.
The name rings the bell, but I can't say that I ever went there.
So how did you feel about pizza?
Oh, I loved it.
Did you like?
Yeah, I love it. And since I live in Oklahoma City, and it's in Oklahoma City, and I can say, oh yes, I was at OSU when they started Hideaway Pizza.
President Wilhelm was president when you were there. Can you remember anything particular about him as a president?
No.
He didn't stand out, or
no.
Did you see him on campus much?
Yeah, you'd see him some, but mostly you'd read about him in the newspaper.
Did you attend many of the athletic events?
All the basketball games, because then they were free and it was odd even. So if I had odd, I'd try to find somebody that had even so I could go to all of them. And the one I remember most is when we beat KU.
And who was Henry Iba the coach then?
And Wilt Chamberlain was.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
At that game.
Yeah, I remember where I sat everything, because we always sat up in one corner.
The 50s, the campus was pretty quiet politically. There wasn't any big movements on campus. It was before the Vietnam War, and
yeah, I don't remember very many big movements at all.
so everything was just kind of calm.
I guess.
You were having a good time at Willard.
I guess it was such a good time to me. I just had a good time at Willard, I guess.
Well, can you share some of your highlights of your life after leaving OSU, and where are you currently living?
I left OSU and got a job teaching in Oklahoma City, and I have been there ever since. And of course, then when my husband graduated a semester later, so he moved down there, and we've been there ever.
You met your husband here at OSU?
I met him at. He was driving down the street because my roommate, she was with me, and we were going to the infirmary, but her boyfriend was in the car with him. So they stopped, and we went downtown, so my husband always said, well, he picked me up.
How cute.
On that. So, yeah, I met him on here.
Was he from Oklahoma?
He originally was, but then he was older. He'd been in the Army, and he'd also lived in California several years, but he came back here to go to college when he got out of the Army.
Neat. And how long have y'all been married?
50 years this December.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anything else that you would like to share with us about your experience here at OSU or at Willard? Something that you particularly that you recall that stands out?
Not too much. One thing you talked about when they renovated Willard, and they contacted me because they were trying to find people that, I guess here, actually what they were trying to do is find people that would donate money to help pay for it. So we contacted a lot of our friends, a lot of the WOW people, and we collected money and have a plaque over there And we came up, I don't know if it was football game weekend. Anyway, we came up one time, had a little reunion, and they dedicated that plaque and things. So we can walk over there now and see for our two friends.
Are you able to come back to OSU often, or do you come down for homecoming, or you
I
mentioned
don't-
your grandchildren?
Yeah, I don't come very much for homecoming. Both of my kids graduated from here. So we came back and forth a lot then. We don't come so much, but we always try to go to the OSU basketball games when they're in Oklahoma City. Yeah, we like to do that. But yeah, we brought our grandkids up here twice for grandparent university. And that's really good because then you wear the t-shirts and people say, I've never heard of anything like that.
Have you seen the campus change a lot since the 50s? I mean, I know there's a lot of new buildings and everything, but just the overall feel of the campus, does it still have that same feeling when you walk across it?
It does to me, and you know, when I walk in the student union, it still smells just like it did on those stairs. I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad smell, but it just smells exactly like it did. And then you walk by the buildings where, you know, you used to take PE classes, and those have been changed now, but I still think it's the prettiest campus.
Did you ever travel to the out-of-town games to go to the sporting events out of town?
We went once, I think, to Norman to the OSU-OU basketball game, but we didn't travel otherwise.
It was very hard, probably. Okay. Well, I think this is about concludes our interview. Unless you have anything else you want to add, I just tell you how much I enjoyed interviewing you, and I'm so glad you're here and meeting these neat women. And it's just been a real pleasure.
Well, thank you.
To meet and talk to you about your experience.
It's been really neat that you'll do this, I think.
So, thank you very much.
Uh-huh.